Surveyed the area right outside the door. Michiro was nowhere in sight. There weren't even any passersby around. As such, she had no one to question. The parking lot was also empty, so she would have nowhere to hide. She probably widened my search radius a little. Masuki went out to the street and looked around for Michiro. It was too cold for patients to be wandering around in their hospital gowns. Thus, Masuki didn't imagine she would have gone out. Regardless, circled the hospital, but found neither hide nor hair of Michiro. She must still be inside. Masuki returned to the entrance for the time being. There he stared out at the empty parking lot, pondering where Michiro could have gone. It was then that he noticed something on the ground. Close look revealed it was the stuffed rabbit Michiro always carried around. No. Oh no. That makes me feel so much worse. It's not a trick. It's not a distraction. Someone actually nabbed Michiro. It was those suspicious motherfuckers that Reiji saw the day before, wasn't it? They nabbed Michiro. Suddenly it hit Masuki. When he'd arrived, there had been a small truck in the parking lot around that spot. Clear tire tracks had been left in the snow where it stood as testament to that. Stuffed rabbit had probably been hidden in the shadow of the truck, explaining why Masuki hadn't noticed it upon arriving. Considering the spot was close to the hospital's back entrance, it was perfectly possible that Michiro could have left through here. Plus, there were many footprints in the snow that suggested multiple people had gone in and out, though honestly none of them looked like Michiro's. Of course, her footprints could have been covered by others. Whatever the case, it didn't change the fact that her stuffed rabbit was sitting there. It quickly dawned upon Masuki that, much as he wished otherwise, it was all up to him to deduce what happened to Michiro, but with no Reiji around to help. Did she run away? Since Michiro wasn't inside or outside the hospital, that was the only conclusion he could draw. She didn't run away, she got kidnapped. Perhaps I'll widen my search range. I'll start with the station. If she's not there, I'll just have to scour the area. Masuki eyed his surroundings as he took off for the station, figuring this was the time to act, not think. Did she run away? No, you stupid fuck. I drove to Kichiki Hospital after getting a call about an emergency. My heart had pounded furiously during the whole ride over. All I'd been told was that Michiro had disappeared from the hospital. Whether I wanted to or not, I couldn't help but be reminded of the day she vanished nearly 2 years ago. The situation this time was totally different, of course. Still, I had to prevent history from repeating itself, no matter the cost. Hanako was all alone in the deserted lobby. There's neither hide nor hair of him. That nitwit seriously not consider the worst case scenario. Called the suspicious man I'd seen the day prior. It allowed one culprit to die and another to get away 2 years ago. I'd be damned if we let that happen all over again.
Oh, Tokisaka-san.
Masuki stepped in through the entrance at that exact moment. I already knew the answer, yet I had to ask anyway. As expected, Masuki shook his head. I don't fucking think so. Masuki said a dirty stuffed rabbit on a bench. Is that the one Michiro takes with her everywhere? Jesus Christ, Masuki, are you fucking kidding me? Normally, I know Reiji's just like giving him shit, but like, good God, man, you gotta be a stupid fuck to not put 2 and 2 together there. Oh yeah, I saw that truck there, and it was like covering up the rabbit, so I didn't think about it. Oh, but I guess the rabbit outside. Oh, huh.
どうした？
朝、そのぬいぐるみが落ちていたあたりにトラックが止まって。
ナンバーは覚えているか？
いえ、そこまでは。
今日は日曜日だから。
今からでも遅くはない。警察に。
Now the rest of my sentence died in my throat. At the sight of Koharu entering the hospital with Michiro in tow.
白崎さん。
どこにいたんですか？
すぐそこの道端に立っていたの。よかった。
Nanako hugged Michiro.
何があったか聞きました。
Directing my question at Koharu, not Michiro.
それが何も話してくれないんです。
Koharu's shoulder slumped.
服もあちこち汚れているし、ただそのあたりをふらついていただけではないと思うのですが。
Okay, she got kidnapped, but somehow got out of it.
今は無事見つかったことを喜びましょう。すみませんが、フミヤさんにも報告していただけます。
そうですね。おまわりさんにもご迷惑をおかけしてしまいましたし。
Gotta made a beeline for his office. Ichiro slipped out of Nanako's grasp and picked her stuffed rabbit up off the bench.
キャロル、よかっ
Never seen her face brighten with such relief before.
どこに行っていたの？
Masuki questioned Michiru.
た。どこも行って。
Ichiro shook her head.
そんな嘘をついたって。
まあ待てよ。
Saw Masuki just as he started to lose his temper.
まずは汚れた服を着替えないとな。
ええ、わかりました。お風呂の準備もしてきますので。
Nanako left us to our devices.
木坂さん、どこも行ってないなんてことは。
分かってるさ。
Yeah, no shit. Something had definitely happened, that much was certain. She clearly wasn't willing to tell us anything
な
either.
みちる。
Ichiro craned her head my way. Bandages shielding her left eye socket were also
包
dirty.
帯も取り替えた方がよ。靴だって汚れてるだろ。
Ichiro removed her slippers, took them from her and checked their soles. They were wet and muddy, possibly from walking outside. However, wiping them off a little revealed that they were actually relatively clean. If she'd been walking for a while, then I would have found pebbles and stuff like that stuck to them. The fact that they weren't meant.
匂い嗅いで。
それは違うからな。
I handed the slippers back
本
to
当
her.
は何があったんだい？
何も話さないって。
I sighed.
誰と約束したんだ？
Ichiro shrank back and grabbed my sleeve.
そう凄むなよ。
でも
約束しちゃったんだったら仕方ないだろう。
Michiru nodded.
白崎さん、お風呂へ行きましょうか。
Michiru got off the bench. She fished two objects out of her pocket and gave them to me, Masuki.
バイバイ。
Just like that, she took off with Nanako.
なんでしょうね。
What we now had were peeled oranges covered in pith.
もしかして行った先まで道伝いにみかんが落ちているとか。
何個必要になると思ってるんだよ。
Popped the orange in my mouth, pith and all. It's a bit sweet, just like the one the day before.
じゃあ自分はもう少し調べてみます。
ああ。当人の話が聞ければ一番いいんだけどな。
That said, we probably won't have much luck with that given Michiru's attitude.
何者かに拉致されたのは間違い。
自分で歩いていれば靴はもっと汚れているだろうからな。
If I were a betting man, I'd say she'd been thrown into that truck Masuki mentioned earlier. But since I hadn't seen it for myself, I wouldn't exactly be much help finding
ミ
it.
チルが再びさらわれないよう見張っている方がいいかもしれないな。
一応自分は昨日時坂さんが見たという車を探してみます。
日産のオースチン、ケンブリッジな。最近の車だからそう走ってないはずだ。
自分には何がどう違うのか分かり。
まあなんとかしろ。ああそうだ。明日お前に頼みたいことがあるから。
どうせ予定なんてありませんよ。それじゃあ。
Asuki left the hospital. Guess I should get moving too. Guess I should get moving back to Kichiki Hospital. Fuck it, let's go to Ueno. Ueno Station was cast in the hues of sunset. Hardly anyone was around, as if to let the world know that the New Year's hype was finally dead. That dearth of people even overshadowed a spot in front of the station that was always empty. Or so I foolishly thought for a moment. The gloomy old man's stall was as devoid of customers as ever. How the heck does this guy make a living? I can imagine he sold enough takoyaki to make ends meet. Maybe his stall was actually a hit and I just happened to never be around for the crowds. The old man gave me a death
じゃ
glare.
あ10個入りのを一つもらおうか。
I was scared he'd kill me if I'd said no.
はいよ。
The old man poured batter onto his stove.
正月だからって休めるやつは幸せもんだ。
I'd have to be subjected to his rants.
なあ、兄さんもそうだろう。
It wasn't entirely wrong, but the thought of us being similar was unsettling.
おじさま、お一ついただけます？
Karen? Suddenly a voice swooped in from out of nowhere.
おお、ジョーちゃんか。毎度あり。
The old man's features softened.
あら、時坂さん。
どうも。
Interesting. It was Karen Hinagami. Couldn't believe I'd actually run into her here of all places.
まさか常連なんですか。
ええ。いつ来ても空いていて、待つことがなくて便利ですから。
Maybe I was just seeing things, but the old man looked a little discouraged to hear her say that.
今日もお仕事ですか。
I figured it a reasonable assumption, given her attire and the bundle of documents under her arm. Are you working? Like, yes, we knew she was.
ええ。平日はどの病院もお忙しいですから。
大変そうですね。
これが仕事ですから。
Karen
お仕
grinned.
事が好きなんですね。
ええ。やりがいがありますから。
兄さん、お待ちどう。
The old man interrupted our conversation.
まあ自分よりも彼女に先に渡っ
あら、お優しいのですね。
Karen giggled. "No, I'm just hoping they'll give me a chance to cancel my order, that's all."
確か30円でしたわよね。
お嬢ちゃんだったら。
本当ですか？ありがとうございます。
Karen handed over the money.
毎度あり。
では時坂さん、私はこれで失礼いたします。
え
Karen disappeared into the
な
station.
あおやさん。
心配しなくともできてるぜ。
Damn, too late. Just pay and get out of here as soon as I can then. Wait, is it just me or is my order bigger than Karen's?
お前さんの心意気に感動して
Classic
な。
takoyaki
お
man.
まけをつけてやったよ。
Great. One time I didn't want something on the house.
30円だ。
First my wallet, figuring he wouldn't extend me the same courtesy he had Karen.
毎度あり。
Hopefully not too soon. Definitely not who I wanted to run into, but whatever, we'll take it. With dinner and my bath done, sleep was all I had left to look forward to.
そういやゆかり、明日から授業か。
明日は始業式ですから、授業があるのは火曜日からですけれどね。
夏休みに比べて短いよな。
年末年始にまとまったお休みがもらえるだけありがたいですよ。
仕事を始めるようになったらそんな休みなんてないからな。
兄さんは毎日がお休みみたいなものじゃありませんか。
俺だって一生懸命働いているんだけどな。
分かってますよ。
You could have handed me a steaming cup of tea.
お仕事は順調ですか？
まあまあかな。
Got my response vague.
早く解決すると良いですね。
そうだな。
Ultimately, I only gave another vague response as I cooled my tea. God, okay, it's a dream. I'm like, no, not red. I was dreaming. I could tell because it was the same one I'd had so many times prior. My left eye watched the whole thing against all my earnest wishes. A boy and a girl stood in the darkness. Both are my friends. There were tons of other boys and girls there, too, though I don't know if I would have called them friends. In any case, my eye only saw those two particular people. The other kids were sleeping by the walls, just like me. That was how I knew this was a dream. For I could see both of them, even though I was sleeping. There had been no one else there at the time. The girl grabbed the boy's neck. She screamed something while the boy replied in a fluster, but I couldn't remember either statement. However, I knew neither was anything ordinary. After all, strangling someone was not the act of a sane mind, no matter how you sliced it. I tried to close my eye. I didn't want to keep watching, despite knowing. No, because I knew it was a dream. Fortunately, my eyelid was frozen in place. That happened to me many a time before, and it would happen many a time again. Everything was exactly the same as that day. The girl's fingers dug into the boy's neck. The boy reached out to the girl. The girl was grinning. The boy was smiling. Perhaps neither of them were actual smiles. That was what it looked like from a distance. The boy's arms flopped to the floor. The girl released his neck. She then embraced his corpse and smiled once more. I'd seen this whole thing many, many times. At some point, my brain had started to put a filter akin to frosted glass over the whole scene, preventing me from seeing it clearly. And yet I still hadn't forgotten. I could never forget that day. Hence why this dream constantly haunted my sleep. Interesting.
兄さん、起きなくてよろしいのですか？
I can hear Yukari.
寒いからもう少し。
Oh, same. Couldn't escape from the temptation of my warm covers. Oh, same.
私はもう行ってしまいますよ。
おう。
Forced my eyes open, revealing a uniformed Yukari hovering above my futon. Oh, right. She's got to attend her school's opening ceremony today.
朝食は今に置いてありますから。召し上がった後は食器を水につけておいてくださいね。
わかった。
では、行ってまいります。
Yukari left the room. Ugh, guess I should get up. Wait, I mean leaving all this warmth behind, right? Yeah, screw that. I would have had more incentive to get out of the bed if Yukari had at least lit the brazier, but no such luck.
兄さん、
Yukari suddenly returned to my room. I looked up at her from under the covers again.
電報が来ていますよ。
Oyama. News from Yuzuru Kuroya, maybe?
ここに置いておきますね。
I reached for the telegram, but Yukari ignored me and set the envelope on the desk farthest away from my futon.
ご自分で起きられて、ご飯もいただいて、すっきりした頭で読まれた方がいいと思いますよ。
Get his ass, Yukari. Yukari left the room with those words. She was so right that I couldn't even argue with her. Fine, I'll get up this time. For real. I grabbed the envelope and went to the living room. Fortunately, it was at least nice and toasty in there. It honestly made me feel like an idiot for shivering in my futon. Rice and miso soup were both waiting for me in bowls, but neither had gone cold. I was curious about the telegram, but decided to take Yukari's advice and eat my breakfast first. I wolfed down my grilled sardines and radishes like a starving predator. Then I gulped down my mushroom miso soup and polished off the rice before stacking my plate in bowls. Finally, I took a breath after dumping them in the water-filled bucket in the kitchen. I was fully awake by then, thanks to the influx of nutrition my brain had just received. Okay, time to see what Yuzuru Kuroya sent over. I opened the envelope and procured a document. It was the list of Hinagami and Shikasa blood types I'd requested the other day. It even included the genotypes, as any good doctor would. Hideyame Hinagami, AA. Mariko Hinagami, AO. Shizuru Hinagami, AA. Ayato Hinagami, O. Karen Hinagami, O. Yoshimitsu Shikasa, BO. Ryoko Shikasa, O. Michio Shikasa, BO. Miya Shikasa, O. Saya Shikasa, BO. Team Yuzuru hadn't included either his or Kensei Shikasa's blood types, given the former had left the Hinagami family while the latter had married into the Shikasas. Michio Shikasa was probably the one who'd founded the Congregation of the Blessed. Furthermore, Masaki had told me that Ryoko Shikasa and Mariko Hinagami were sisters. Oh, right. In any case, the Hinagamis were primarily type A, while the Shikasas were type B, from what I could tell. Wait.
未だ死体の血液型は
Led back to the severed limbs that supposedly belonged to Satsuki. This document was pointless without their blood type. If she was type B, then she was very likely related to the Shikasas. Though there was a chance she had type A blood, depending on her parents. I rose to my feet, document still in hand. Next, I took a little stroll over to the family library. Normally it got so cold in the winter that I only went in there to retrieve books. I remember that last month I'd gone looking for books about genetics out of curiosity from what I'd been told about the subject after donating blood to Masaki. Soon enough, I found a simple chart. It was a list of combinations of children's blood types from their parents based on Mendel's laws. Something in that telegram had bugged me, so I'd gone to confirm my hunch. I should keep this to myself for now. Don't keep it to yourself. Tell the reader, damn it. Something in the telegram had bugged me. Fuck it, I'm gonna Google it. I don't know what he's trying to imply. I do notice that Rika Shizuru's wife was left off the list. I see that because she was married into the family, right? I get that. She was married into the family. The same reason they left out Kensei here. So I guess that makes sense. But he also left out Rika's, which is interesting. Even though he doesn't What's that? I don't know, looking at the chart I'm seeing here, as well as what I'm seeing here, nothing seems off, right? It's a type A and a type A, and those can produce O's or A's. But if Shizuru is a solid type A, well, that means Rika could have been anything except type AB. As long as she had that recessive O or was type O herself. Wait. No, that's not how that works. Is it? Well, it looks like no. No, if he has the double A, then... I mean, even this chart says there's documented examples where these rules are broken. But if Shizuru has the double A, and the twins have type O, wouldn't they need to double up on the type O gene to be type O? Like, regardless, if Shizuru is their actual father, wouldn't they end up being type A? So is that what you're telling me? Is that Shizuru is not the biological father? Is that what's going down here? Because yeah, if he is only type A, even if they do receive the O recessive gene from their mother, the only way that could ever end up is AO, either AA or AO. Obviously there's, outlier cases where that's not the case, but it means realistically they shouldn't be anything other than type A. Both the kids should be type A. Like, the things over here with the Shikasas line up because both one parent is solid O and one parent has the recessive O. So of course, one of the children being O makes perfect sense, as well as two of the other children being BO because the main guy had the B gene. So yeah, there's something fishy going on with Shizuru and his children. Something fishy's going on there. Based on what it's telling me right now off rip, it seems like Shizuru is not the actual father. Shizuru is not the father. There should not be able to produce type O children. I'm pretty sure. Interesting. Very interesting. Anyway, I'll allow Reiji to continue. Who knows if I'll ever need it as a trump card. Yeah, as a trump card, right? To tell Shizuru these aren't your children? Interesting. Yukari and the rest of her class returned to their classroom after the opening ceremony. Kwane approached her as soon as they arrived.
まだ来ていないみたいね。
Oh, Yukiko?
ええ。
The bear stared at an empty desk. It was Yukiko's seat. Yukari hadn't seen her all day.
小羽。
Kwane shook her head.
どうしたんでしょうか。
宿題が終わってないとか？
小羽じゃあるまい
Yeah,
し。
she doesn't
それは
suck
ないと思い
absolute
ますよ。
shit like you do.
私はちゃんと来たもん。
Yeah, and you're still the worst one here. Incredible.
読書感想文は終わりましたか？
予定していた本が読み終わらなくてね。別ので書いてきたわよ。
あら、すごいじゃないですか。
Yukari was genuinely stunned that her friend had actually done her homework.
短編だったら 早く終わると思って見つけてきたのよ、日本の心を。
短歌とか言いませんよね。
当たり前じゃない。
It seems Yukari's wild guess have been right on the money.
何の歌の感想を書いたのですか？
While it could hardly be considered a book report, reading a poem and talking about it probably still counted as far as the assignment was concerned. Though personally, Yukari thought that sounded a lot harder than just writing a report on any old book.
そりゃもうやんごとなき方のよ。
天智天皇の秋の田のから始まる歌ですか？
なんでわかったの？
Because that's the first poem in 100 verses from old Japan. That's why. The rear door suddenly opened, revealing Yukiko.
あ、ゆきこちゃん。
Connie dashed over to their mutual friend.
おはよう。おはよう。大丈夫？
Yukiko nodded and tottered toward her desk.
どこか悪いのですか？
ちょっとだけだから大丈夫。
Yukiko threw herself across her desk the moment she sat down.
具合がよろしくないのでしたら。
まだ大丈夫だから。
God, you sound so far away. You don't just sound like sick, you sound like you're like not even in the fucking room. Yukiko murmured, voice muffled by the desk. Well, I mean, you sounded like that before you even got to your desk. It was then that their homeroom teacher showed up.
何かあったらすぐにおっしゃってくださいね。
Yukiko returned to her desk with that final appeal to Yukiko. Yukiko hardly so much as budged for the rest of homeroom. It was half day today, so the three friends left before noon. Though Yukiko's face remained ashen, she was at least clearly feeling well enough to walk on her own.
熱があるの？そういうわけじゃないけれど。
ちょっと失礼しますね。
Yukiko reached out and touched Yukiko's forehead.
確かに熱はないようですけれど。
多分寝不足で疲れているだけだと思うから。
Yukiko did a little leap back.
この後で病院に行ってみるつもりだから、そう心配してもらわなくても。
だといいのですが。
ついていこうか？大丈夫。
Yukiko shook her head.
昔からお世話になってるところだし、一人で行けるから。
気をつけてくださいね。
Yukiko and Kahane headed home after making sure Yukiko got on a bus.
先輩。
Suddenly, they noticed Ayame racing up to them.
明けましておめでとう、佐藤さん。
今年もよろしくね、あゆむっち。
こちらこそよろしくお願いいたします。
部活はお休みですか？
ええ、冬の間は大会もありませんし、体力づくりを優先していますから。
じゃあ走ったりしてるの？
そうですね。朝は毎日学院の周囲を走っていますよ。
ここの敷地って結構広いよね。
一周で1キロほどしかありませんよ。
それだけあれば十分よ。私だったら1時間はかかると思う。
それじゃあ徒歩よりも遅いですよ。
Yeah, you fucking lazy piece of shit.
というわけで、そっちは任せたぞ。
Masuki looked at me once he was all prepped.
時坂さんが行けばいいじゃないですか。
俺はこれから人と会う約束があるんだよ。
そんなこと言ってもあの人たちと顔を合わせたくないだけ。
当たり前だろ。
You're damn right I don't. I meant Masuki's sarcasm with honesty.
あの二人は俺が会いたくない人間で5本の指に入るからな。
自分もできれば会いたくないんですが。
そこは諦めろ。
I shooed Masuki away as I checked the clock.
それじゃあ行ってきます。
Masuki left the office. He'd been absolutely right. I was scared I'd lose control around him. That was why I'd shared only the necessary details with Masuki and sent him in my place. So there's no guarantee he'd actually manage to get anything out of the guy. All I could do was bank on the fact that they'd once been doctor and patient. There was a knock on the door at exactly 1 p.m.
はい。
The door opened, revealing one Toji Aoki.
時間ちょうどだな。
早く来すぎても迷惑だろうからな。
Fish meant she'd arrived early and waited outside.
まさきが駅へ向かっていったようだが、何か頼んだのか？
ああ、 ちょっと警視庁。
あいつにヤギ沼の相手が務まるのか。
あいつより厄介なやつの相手をさせに行ったんだよ。
望み薄だな。
Toji took off her coat and helped herself to a seat on the sofa before setting two bulky envelopes atop the table.
こっちが警察で保管していたシェオルの殻の原稿。そしてこれが出版社に届いたプルガトリオの羊の原稿だ。
確認してみたか。
I unsealed the envelopes.
説明を受けた時に
どうだった？
見ればわかる。
I removed the two manuscripts at her urging. First, I checked the one labeled The Shell of Sheol Part 2. It was the same one I'd found in the author's own office. God damn, I gotta keep my finger off the fucking button. Almost 2 years ago. Surprisingly, it featured no blotches or signs of aging. In fact, the place had preserved it so well that I may very well have believed Toji if she said it literally traveled through time. Next, I checked the manuscript for the Shima Purgatorio. Though it had also been written in fountain pen, I immediately noticed the ink was a different color.
こいつは別物だな。
The handwriting was completely different. Didn't have to be an expert to tell that.
別人が書いたもので、
そのことは出版社の人間に伝えたか？
警察で原稿を受け取った方が後だったから出版社ではまだ分かっていなかった。もちろん筆跡を調べるとは説明してあるが。
Yeah, announcing it was the work of an imposter and ordering an emergency recall would do no favors for anyone involved.
ともあれ、何者かが桂木真の名を語って。
その可能性は否定できないな。
I studied the manuscripts as I pontificated.
このプルガトリオの羊はシェオルの殻よりも前のネアニスの卵とよく似ている。
それを参考にして書いたのならば似通っても当たり前じゃないのか。
まあそうなんだが、なんと言えばいいのかな。前のをしっかりと受け継いで。
それだって元の本を読み込めばできることだろ。お前は先入観にとらわれてこれに桂木真の手がかりを見出そうとしているだけだ。
手厳しいな。
I couldn't help but grin bitterly. Toji had hit the nail on the head. I believe that I could find Shin Katsuragi through this lead, and in turn, Toko. I don't think you're wrong in that assumption, though. Toji's giving you shit, but I'm pretty sure that this imposter writer is Naori, since we know he had an interest in writing. I'm pretty sure Naori is sheltering Shin Katsuragi as he has Toko's baby. At least what I assume to be Toko's baby, what pretty much everyone assumes to be Toko's baby. So, honestly, you're not too far off, bud. Ultimately, though, that was nothing more than my own obsession talking.
では一体誰が書いたものなんだ？
虚栄心を満たそうとしたやつだろうさ。自分にもあの程度ならば書ける。
しかしそれじゃあただの自己満足だろう。
見栄を張るなんてのは。
Point taken. Still, would this person really go so far just to stoke their own vanity? All the praise would go to Shin Katsuragi no matter how rave the reviews, after all. The real author would have no way of proving it was their own story, even if they claimed as much at a later date. And even a handwriting analysis or fingerprint testing would be dicey evidence at best.
この原稿、指紋の鑑定は無理だろうな。
I shook my head when I realized the flaw in my idea.
編集者やいろいろな人の手に触れているだろうな。
できるとしたら筆跡鑑定くらいか。
The problem with that was that it would require a suspect's handwriting to compare to. That would necessitate producing a list of candidates, but discovering the imposter's identity likely wouldn't bring us any closer to finding Shin Katsuragi. Worth the shot, though. I already know who my first suspect would be. I already know who to guess first.
どうする？まだ調べるか？
Yes. Toji pressed me.
万一この原稿が桂木真のではないと証明された場合、出した人間を突き止めてくれと出版社には言われているから。
俺からはその他の典型界にまつわることの調査を優先させてくれとしか言えない。
The disappearance of Shin Katsuragi, of Toko, was all in the past. Or sorry to keep telling myself anyway.
わかった。
Toji donned her coat and got up.
これは回収していくからな。
She put the manuscripts back into their envelopes. It wasn't like there was any point in me holding on to them after all.
ではまた。
Toji left the agency. I sighed and sank into the sofa. We weren't making much progress. But in any case, I had to bring an end to the serial killings as soon as possible. It's risky, but I should try questioning her. Picked up the phone and dialed a particular number. Oh. Interesting. Yukiko sat in the infirmary waiting for the doctor to show up, so she goes to Naori. Okay. Her heart was racing a mile a minute. Though this wasn't her first time here, the place never failed to unsettle her. This building smelled much more like a church than a clinic. And while she could sense that it wasn't deserted, she barely ever bumped into anyone. It just felt like the other people here were always staring at her, studying her behavior like some kind of lab rat. Suddenly the door opened and in walked a man.
茅原さん
The man greeted her with an affable smile, like always. It was none other than Dr. Kuroya.
最近嫌な夢を見るんです。
Yukiko began spilling her guts with a little coaxing. They were dreams that couldn't possibly have been real, dreams of her murdering herself. She told him about how she had them every single night.
私、このままではおかしくなってしまいそうです。
Yukiko buried her face in her hands as memories of those dreams threatened to escape their prison.
確か以前には物忘れがひどくなっているという話をしていましたね。
昔の友達だった子のことも全く覚えていなくて。
記憶が抜け落ちている部分を補完しようとしているのでしょうね。
でも
もちろん自分を殺すなんてことはありません。それはそうですね。
周りで起こった。
That would explain her dream of that day, of course.
人は皆物語の主人公になりたがるのですよ。
Now it is scribbled on his chart.
睡眠導入剤を処方しましょう。どうしても眠れない時に限って。
わかりました。
さて、以前お話ししたことは考えてくださいましたか？
Like being a marriage candidate? Now we change the subject. It's no longer a conversation between doctor and patient.
まだ私には決められません。
Yeah, you mean marrying into the rich family? Yeah? Yuko confessed how she honestly felt.
まだ焦る必要はありませんよ。
Now he smiled.
一度教師と面会されますか？
Oh, trying to
もちろ
convince
ん
her.
それですぐにどうするというわけではありませんが。
Oh, you're trying to make Yukiko the fucking oracle, huh? That's what this is about? Yukiko just agreed half-heartedly. She wasn't sure how things worked around here. Not even her own doctor's place in the organization was clear. For now, all she wanted was to stop having those nightmares. What if they really were memories? Would she be able to forget them? Or would she eventually recall them in full? That was all that worried her. Masuki took the tram over to Kasamigaseki. The MPD stood right before him. Coming to this place always made him nervous. Mainly because he'd been questioned here numerous times, of course. Being on the opposite end of the interrogation table like today wouldn't make him any less tense. Masuki took a few deep breaths before finally entering.
やれやれ先輩が来るかと思っていたらあなたですか
Masuki's entrance into CID Section 1 was greeted by a pompous snort courtesy of Yaginuma.
奴の扱いには先輩の方が長けていると思うんですがね
俺だってそう思いますよ。
Masuki didn't believe himself capable of getting information out of Makoto Urotsuki. He was only here on his boss's orders. Reiji was expecting him to get Urotsuki to sing. However, Masuki didn't share his confidence. Masuki entered the interrogation room. Unlike last time, he was sitting with his back to the wall instead of to the window. That shift of perspective alone made the tiny room feel a whole lot different.
僕は隣の部屋で監視していますから
Yaginuma left the room. Masuki reviewed the questions Reiji had written down for him. How many of these will Urotsuki actually answer, though? Masuki wanted to at least get something out of his former psychiatrist. Now that he'd come this far, he had to make this opportunity count. It was then that the door next to him opened.
Oh yeah?
If Masuki had known any better, he would have sworn that voice was echoing right from his brain. He tensed up, doing his best not to look at its owner.
あなたが相手ですと立場が逆になってしまいますね。ま
Makoto Urotsuki took a seat across from him. It's all wrong. Tokisaki said he wasn't a talker, especially not right out of the gate. The police officer escorting Urotsuki looked just as surprised as
お
Masuki.
久しぶりです。2年ぶりくらいでしょうかね。
Regardless, Masaki tried to play it as cool as he could.
そうなりますね。あの時は申し訳ありませんでした。
No one's entirely on you and your arrest. Masaki resisted the urge to fire off that retort. Though honestly, Rokshiki could probably still tell what was going through his head anyway.
ここであったのも何かの縁です。今からでも治療を再開しましょうか。
それは結構です。
Masaki shook his head in defiance. Don't let him take control of the conversation. Remember what Tokisaka said.
いくつか尋ねたいことがあります。
Roshiki's vision shifted to somewhat emotionless mask.
何を聞きたいのかね。
病院ではHinagami製薬の抗精神薬を使用していましたか？
おや、
The former doctor almost looked a little let down.
そのようなことでいいのですか。私はてっきり上園君について尋ねられると思ったのです。
Don't let him no. Masaki! Don't let him take control. Masaki bit his lip.
そのことは今関係ありません。
Yeah.
それにそれをあなたに聞いたところで意味はありません。
正解です。
Rokshiki smirked.
考えればすぐにわかるような因果関係を無視する輩がここには多くて困りますよ。
それでHinagami製薬については何か知らないのですか？
Masaki steered the conversation back on topic.
それについてはあなたの方が詳しいと
You're
思い
not
ます。
answering my fucking question. Rokshiki stared deep into Masaki's eyes, almost like a snake sizing up a frog.
抗精神薬の新薬が多く開発されていると聞いています。
あの時あなたに処方したのはHinagami製薬の製品ですよ。そうおかしな副作用は出ないもののはずですが。
あいにく服用していた期間が短く。
果たしてそうでしょうか。あなたがあの後もあそこに通っていたとしたら。
副作用がないんでしたら問題ないでしょう。
ええ、その通り。ですからあなたのその左手も副作用の影響でも何でもありませんよ。
Masaki? Masaki instinctively drew his left hand back.
そんなことは分かっています。
本来病気と呼ばれるものは体からの危険信号であり、それはシステムが正常に稼働している証明なのです。それを薬は無理やり押さえつけてしまいます。果たしてこの場合どちらが世の断りに反していると言えるでしょうか。
I don't even understand what you're
そ
asking.
んな問答をしに来たわけじゃありませ
Next
ん。
question. Masaki knew he couldn't afford to follow the beat of Rokishiki's drum.
空襲警報がうるさいからと鳴らさないことがありますが、薬の役割とはまさにそれなのです。警報が鳴らない、安全だ、そして
No, that's not what medicine does at all. Medicine turns off the alarm. No, the alarm gets turned off because the medicine takes care of the problem. Now, if the problem persists, that alarm's gonna come back, but sure, I guess in a sense, but it's like, I don't know, the analogy doesn't work. Because in your analogy, it's like it turns off the alarm, but then bad shit still happens. And yeah, if you're prescribed the wrong medication or maybe you have an allergic reaction or something, there can still be complications. But like if you have a headache and you take ibuprofen, it's not like your brain's still going through a lot of pain and you just, turned it off for a bit. Like, no, it's doing something to actually relieve the pain so your body no longer has to tell you, hey, there's a problem over here.
あなたは何が言いたいんですか？
Masaki, no! No, Masaki! No, don't ask him a question that's not on the cards. Masaki interrupted, fed up with Rokishiki's fervent rigmarole. That's what he wants, though. What are you getting at? Oh, let me tell you what I'm getting at, Mr. Bond. Like, no.
私は適当に喋っているだけですよ。そこに意味などまるでありません。
The loquacious criminal ravenously stared at Masaki. No, that was probably just Masaki's mind embellishing the sight before him. Had the Reiji not warned him ahead of time, Masaki would have never assumed this man was actually a barbarous serial killer. Rather, it would have taken him to be a mere psychiatrist. Nothing more, nothing less.
仕方ありませんね。
Rokishiki exasperatedly shrugged.
Hinagami製薬の抗精神薬は近年になってから目覚ましい発展を遂げ、富山の一企業だったものが瞬く間に東京へ進出しました。
そう聞いています。
Masuki had heard that Hinagami Pharmaceuticals established its Tokyo office during his grandfather Hideyomi's reign.
そこに何があったのか、無論部外者である私には分かりません。
Hiroshiki shook his head with an attitude that suggested he'd surmised everything regardless.
この話はもういいです。
Masuki decided to abandon that line of questioning after determining Hiroshiki wasn't going to give him anything helpful.
白崎みちるさんをご存知ですよね。
ええ、とてもよく知っています。
彼女のことを聞かせてください。
彼女の何を聞きたいのか教えてください。
Hiroshiki goaded Masuki like a teacher.
彼女が自傷癖を持つようになったきっかけです。
彼女はまだ
Masuki simply nodded.
私の後を誰が引き継いだのかは分かりませんが、
彼女に何があったのですか？
それを医者が答えると思いますが。
Hiroshiki grinned.
あなたはまだ自分が医者だと思っているのですか？
あなたも私が医者だと思うからここへ診療に来たのでしょう。
自分は診療に来たわけじゃありません。
医者としての私にでしょう。ただの六式誠、あるいは斎藤玉樹と話すのならば世間話程度しかできませんからね。
Words failed Masuki.
私が医者だからこそ患者だったあなたとはこうして話しているのですよ。
Oh, so that's it. I explained why Hiroshiki was treating him so differently than Reiji had suggested. I can use this.
あなたの患者だった白崎みちるさんが昨日何者かに誘拐されそうになりました。
それを早く言うべきでしたね。
Hiroshiki sat upright.
白崎さんが何も話さない理由は簡単です。
ですが、自分をさらった相手との約束なんて。
さらわれたという認識がない状態であればどうですか？例えばあなたと一緒に散歩した。
そんなことがあり得るのですか？
誘拐犯があなたを誘拐します。
Right, so they didn't forcibly abduct her, but they like lured her away, and she didn't really think anything of it. Some certainly would. If they didn't, and instead simply taken her somewhere,
それが彼女の入院理由ですか？
she doesn't doubt others, or rather, simply accepts them as they are.
彼女は発達障害ではありませんよ。
Hiroshiki shook his head.
彼女をさらったのはおそらく家庭に関することでしょうね。
まさか家族がさらった。
Former psychiatrist shook his head once more.
彼女の家、白崎家はとある宗教にハマっているそうです。
I see. What is she a potential oracle?
なんというところですか？
I have a feeling I know where this is going, and I don't like it.
確か、そう、典型会とか言いましたね。ご存知のようですね。
ええ。まあ。
How would they be a part of this, though?
彼女はその団体の孤児院で育ち、信者の白崎家に引き取られたそうです。
養子だったんですか？典型会の人間がさらったということで間違いないんですか？
それを私に判断させるつもりですが。
That's probably impossible. Only Masuki himself can investigate further and make that connection.
彼女は孤児院にいた頃から精神疾患を発症していたそうですが、白崎家に引き取られた後、それが悪化して入院することになりました。
She suddenly touched upon Mitsuru's past and prompted.
虐待ですか？
それもあったでしょうね。虐待が自傷行為に及ぶ事例は多く報告されています。彼女はもともとから病に精神を蝕まれていたのですよ。
Then, all of a sudden, Hiroshi clapped.
どうやら少し喋りすぎたようです。
彼女に何があったんですか？
いや、しかし会話というのは楽しいものですね。
At those words, Hiroshi shut his mouth. Masuki quickly realized that the generosity he spoke of had been the details of Mitsuru's past. However, knowing all that didn't help. Yet. Yet. It's going to help. He had more facts, but no answers. Not in Mitsuru's past, and definitely not in Hinagami Pharmaceuticals. Hiroshi had simply mapped out random pieces of information, everyone's giving his own personal outlook on them. Just then, the man himself got to his feet and headed for the door. The police officer hastily burst into the room and restrained him. Mosky certainly couldn't fault the officer's panic. Even he had half convinced that Rokushiki would have simply strolled right out of the MPD's front door if not stopped.
連れて行け。
The handcuffed Rokushiki was escorted back to his cell at Yaginuma's behest. Mosky couldn't get a read on what his former psychiatrist was thinking.
随分と喋らせてくれましたね。
ただの世間話でした。
Indeed, it hardly felt like he divulged any useful information. Yet. Nah, the information's gonna come back to us and it's gonna be mad useful. Just gotta wait.